Breaking news, Maxx Crosby secures massive contract extension with the Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders fans, this is the news you've been waiting for. Superstar pass rusher Maxx Crosby has officially signed a brand new contract extension with the team. This has been a hot topic all offseason, as Crosby made it clear that he wanted a new deal, especially since his previous contract had no guaranteed money left. And now, the Raiders have stepped up and delivered. According to reports, the Raiders have locked in Crosby with a 3-year, $16.5 million extension, including a massive $91.5 million guaranteed. Why? This deal makes him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history, a well-deserved honor for one of the league's most dominant defensive players. Crosby is more than just a talented player. He's a relentless competitor who gives everything he has on the field. While some players are just in it for the paycheck, Crosby is different. He wants to be great. He wants to leave a legacy. His passion, effort, and work ethic set him apart, and this contract proves how much the Raiders value him. Now let's break down what this contract means for the team. Crosby was already under contract for 2025 and 2026. So this extension adds 3 more years on top of that. His new average salary is $35.5 million per year. But the way the deal is structured gives the Raiders some flexibility. For this season, Crosby's cap hit will be $27.9 million. And next year, it drops to $24 million, which is actually a great value for a top 5 defensive end. The Raiders can also get creative by adjusting some of the payments, potentially spreading out the cap hit to make things more manageable in future years. Bottom line, Maxx Crosby isn't going anywhere. He's locked in with the Raiders for the long run, and this extension cements his status as a cornerstone of the franchise. Raiders fans, get ready, because Crosby is just getting started. Maxx Crosby's future with the Raiders is set, but the team needs to win. One of the best parts of this deal is that it locks Maxx Crosby in for the next 5 years, ensuring he remains a key part of the Las Vegas Raiders. As the NFL salary cap continues to rise, going up by $20 to $30 million every year, this contract will look even better over time. Of course, at some point, Crosby may want more guaranteed money. But for now, this extension ensures he'll be with the Raiders until he's around 32 or 33 years old. That means there's a strong chance he plays his entire career in silver and black, something that should excite every Raiders fan. What makes Crosby even more special isn't just his talent, but his ability to elevate the players around him. Look at what happened with players like Lavon Chaisson, a guy who struggled to even make the Carolina Panthers' active roster. When he joined the Raiders, Crosby took him under his wing, helped refine his pass-rushing skills, and turned him into a contributor. The same thing happened with Malcolm Kuntz and Adam Butler. Both players improved after being around Crosby, and it won't stop there. As young talents like Tyree Wilson continue to develop, and if the Raiders draft James Pierce Jr. Or Mike Green in the second round, Crosby will be there to mentor them and help them grow. His leadership is just as valuable as his pass-rushing ability. Now, while some are calling this the biggest non-quarterback contract, it's important to note that Crosby's cap hit is still team-friendly. His last deal was below market value, and even though this new contract seems huge, the way it's structured keeps the Raiders in a strong financial position. The Raiders must capitalize on Crosby's prime. This contract ensures that Las Vegas has 5 years to build a winning team. Around Crosby, that's why they can't afford to waste time. With head coach Antonio Pierce expected to be around for at least 3 to 4 years, the timing lines up perfectly. This means the Raiders need to go all in, especially at quarterback. Could they make a move for Aaron Rodgers? Could they take a chance on Sam Darnold and pay him $30 to $40 million? One thing is clear, The team can't afford to wait for a rookie quarterback to develop. Of course, there will be tough roster decisions ahead. Players like Malcolm Kuntz, Trevin Moehrig, and Nate Hobbs may not be around much longer. The team is reportedly negotiating with Robert Spillane, but they'll have to carefully manage the roster to stay competitive. At the end of the day, the Raiders have locked in a generational talent in Maxx Crosby, but now they need to build a championship-caliber team around him, sane, before it's too late. Maxx Crosby is here to stay. Now, let's talk about Alex Cappa. While some players will come and go, Maxx Crosby isn't going anywhere. He remains the heart of the Las Vegas Raiders, and his presence in the building is locked in for years to come. But alongside the Crosby extension, the Raiders have also made another key move, signing offensive guard Alex Cappa. This is an interesting signing for the team. A few years ago, Cappa was playing at a Pro Bowl level, showing great potential as a top-tier guard. But last season, his performance dropped significantly. He allowed less 55 total pressures, gave up quick 8 or 9 sacks, and struggled in pass protection. Some believe his decline is due to an injury he suffered in 2022. But it's hard to say if that's still affecting him 2 years later. What are the Raiders getting with Cappa? Cappa initially showed promise. When he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was a solid player in his mid-20s, but as he hit his late 20s, his level of play started to decline. Something we've seen happen with other players around the league. Cody Whitehair is a great example of this. He peaked early and never regained his top form. Now, let's talk numbers. According to reports, Cappa's contract with the Raiders is a 2-year deal worth $1 million. But the key detail is the $5 million in guaranteed money. What does this mean? Essentially, the Raiders are betting on him to either win a starting job or serve as a valuable backup. Cappa will compete with players like Dylan Parham, Cody Whitehair, and Jordan Meredith for a starting spot. If he performs well and returns to his 2020 to 2021 form, this deal will look like a steal. If he struggles, the Raiders can move on after this season with minimal financial loss, just like they did with Cody Whitehair. A low-risk, high-reward move. At the end of the day, this is a low-risk signing with potential upside. If Cappa bounces back, the Raiders have a solid veteran guard for just $5.5 million per season. Over the next 2 years, if he doesn't pan out, they can simply cut ties next year without taking a big financial hit. The Raiders are being smart with their money, making calculated moves instead of overpaying. Whether or not Cappa proves to be worth the gamble, one thing is clear. The team is doing everything it can to build a stronger roster for the future. Raiders offseason plans, building through free agency and the draft. With free agency just around the corner, the Las Vegas Raiders seem to have a clear plan. Retain key players and make smart, strategic additions. Rather than splurging on expensive free agents, the team appears focused on bringing back their own guys while looking for affordable talent in the draft. One area they may target, the offensive line. The second or third round of the draft could be the perfect place to land a starting caliber guard, a physical, dominant lineman who can move defenders and solidify the trenches. Players like Anthony Belton, Charles Grant, or even William & Mary's standout tackle Grant could be solid options. When it comes to salary cap management, the Raiders seem to be making smart moves, signing Alex Cappa for $5.5 million and keeping Jordan Meredith at around $1 million are cost-effective choices. As for Dylan Parham, he's entering the final year of his contract, but his future remains uncertain. If the team doesn't see him as a long-term fit, they could trade him for a late-round pick or even release him. At right tackle, DJ Glaze could be given a shot to prove himself this season. If he develops well, it's a win for the Raiders. If not, he's a solid backup option at a reasonable price. Could DK Metcalf be the Raiders' next big move? One of the biggest surprises of the offseason is DK Metcalf officially requesting a trade. This could be a massive opportunity for the Raiders. Right now, the team needs a dominant X-wide receiver, a physical playmaker who can line up outside, beat press coverage, and take on double teams. While DK isn't the traditional X receiver like Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams, he would still be a true number one target in the Raiders' offense. Imagine an offense with DK Metcalf, Jakobi Meyers, and Trey Tucker at wide receiver, plus Brock Bowers at tight end. That's a dangerous group that could create major matchup problems for opposing defenses. While DK may not be a top 5 wide receiver, he's still a highly productive player who makes tough catches, absorbs big hits, and stretches the field. If the price is right, the Raiders should seriously consider making a move. The big picture. With smart free agency moves, a strong draft strategy, and a potential blockbuster trade, the Raiders could reshape their roster and build a competitive team for the upcoming season. The next few weeks will be crucial, and fans should keep a close eye on how the front office plays its cards. Should the Raiders trade for DK Metcalf? If the Las Vegas Raiders' decide to pursue DK Metcalf, there are a couple of important factors to consider: his contract situation and the draft compensation costs required to get him. Metcalf is still at his highly productive receiver, but he has just 1 year left on his contract and will likely want a long-term extension wherever he lands. That means any team trading for him would need to not only give up draft picks, but also be ready to pay him big money. What would it cost to get DK Metcalf? Given his contract situation and the fact that he's already requested a trade, the price tag might not be too steep. A 3rd or 4th round pick could be enough to land him, especially since older receivers or players on expiring contracts typically don't demand high trade value. Another option could involve a player swap. The Seattle Seahawks might be interested in someone like Michael Mayer, who's on a rookie contract with upside at tight end, or a package including Mayer and a mid-round pick could make sense for both sides. However, it's unlikely any team would be willing to give up a first-round pick. For Metcalf at this point in his career, wide receivers often peak between years 3 to 5 and then gradually decline, making long-term investments a bit riskier. Could Tyler Lockett be an option? Another name to watch is Tyler Lockett, who was recently released by the Seahawks. Lockett has been a consistent and reliable receiver for years, and he could be a cheaper alternative to Metcalf. However, his playing style is very similar to Jakobi Meyers, which might make him a less attractive option for the Raiders. Building the perfect receiving core. If the Raiders could somehow land both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, without breaking the bank, they would have one of the most dangerous receiving groups in the league, DK Metcalf, the big-bodied physical target Jakobi Meyers, the reliable route runner Tyler Lockett, the speedy veteran Brock Bowers, the dynamic tight end. However, pulling off both moves would be difficult given the salary cap. If Metcalf demands $22 million per year and Lockett costs around $8 to $12 million, that's nearly $30 million combined. A price tag that could be tough to manage. What's next for the Raiders? Whether or not the Raiders make a move for Metcalf or Lockett, one thing is clear: they need to upgrade their receiving core. Adding a proven veteran to pair with Meyers and Bowers could give the offense the boost it needs to compete in 2025. With free agency heating up and more news likely on the way, the next few weeks will be crucial for the Raiders' offseason plans.